Well, Angela, tell them a little bit about yourself. You're running for Congress in Georgia right now, right?
I'm running for Congress in Georgia in the 5th District against John Lewis. I am from Atlanta, been there most of my life. Most of you may know my story from a while back. I spent some time in prison for a nonviolent charge. Ended up giving birth to my daughter, chained to a bed, came home, went through a lot of trials and tribulations to get to where I am today. Ended up using my story to not only pass the First Step Act, but also make it illegal for women to be chained during childbirth. I ended up getting a full pardon from the president, and now I'm running for Congress to use my story, to use my experiences, and bring hope to our people.
You got a pardon from President Trump?
Full pardon from President Trump.
Now,
do you think that you would be a Trump? Do you think you would be a Trump supporter if he hadn't pardoned you?
I've supported Trump before I got a pardon.
And why do you support Trump? What values do you see in Trump that make you a supporter?
I support his policies. He's the first president that's for pro-life. There are, nearly 60 million Black babies that have been aborted since Roe v. Wade passed. And if we talk about Black Lives Matter, then we know that Black Lives Matter even in the womb. He also signed the most historic criminal justice reform that I had a part of. And we freed over 7,000 people from prison. 91% of them were Black. He's also permanently funded HBCUs. He also lifted the federal ban that was against faith-based HBCUs. Before COVID hit, we had the lowest Black unemployment. The fact that the man was willing to listen to someone like me and allow me to influence him to not only pass the First Step Act, but make it illegal for women to give birth in chains, I realized that this man is not the man that they're proclaiming him to be.
I don't have any problem with a person voting their interests. I saw a quote you said. You said, I credit President Trump for being my inspiration. Before she became active in conservative politics, I was a lifelong Democrat just because. Well, monkey see, monkey do. I was just doing everything that my family was doing. I guess we had all been duped. So what made you, get away from the Democratic Party?
Well, my own story, when I came home from prison, I was a convicted felon. I was a single mother. I had 4 children waiting for me. They gave me a $25 check and a bus ticket and said, here, go start your life over. Well, we had absolutely nowhere to go. I couldn't get the welfare that I'd been able to get before. I couldn't get any housing assistance. So I had to figure out how I was going to make it. I had a God-given gift, which was writing. So I wrote my life story. From there, I went on to being a national best-selling author and then starting my own publishing company. Not only that, the part about being a single mother, remembering when I was getting those benefits and how Section 8 said, as a single mother, we'll help you and your children, but the father can't live in the home. Or when I was receiving welfare, they'll say, okay, you'll get this certain amount of money at the beginning every month, but you can only make a certain amount. It wasn't until I was denied government benefits and nobody wanted to help me that I discovered my greatness. And so this road to entrepreneurship is how I eventually became free. And I know if we really want to be free as a people, we got to reduce poverty. Because once we reduce poverty, we reduce crime. We need more entrepreneurs. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
You can do that as part of any party, though, or being an independent. You don't have to be a part of a party to do that, though, right?
Well, for me personally, I'm a conservative because I don't believe in handouts. I believe in hand-ups. When we talk about the Democratic Party, it's a large focus on welfare, right? People only need welfare for a certain amount of time. We don't need to become lifelong welfare recipients. I'm also not.
Oh, we lost you. There we go.
I'm sorry. I'm also not a Democrat because of abortion. This is my thing. Roe v. Wade was passed off of a lie. As of right now, where we are, we're always crying about being an oppressed minority, but we are always going to be an oppressed minority if we continue to abort our offspring. Realizing that we are not only killing our own army, but also aborting our votes. So what I would like to do as a congressman, because I promise you, everybody is voting for our children to die on the Democrat side. I would love to bring balance. I would love to give opportunity to women, because look, You can't tell me that the only way I can survive or be successful is by having an abortion when I'm a woman that came home from prison and raised 4 kids on my own, which are all a blessing. So if we want them to value our lives, then we need to begin to value the lives of our offspring. My one vote on the floor, the only thing it's going to do is bring balance, because at the end of the day, I want to save Black life. Now, that is no excuse for us to say we are going to support, and it's documented that this is a racist organization.
Because you believe that doesn't make it that other women have to believe that. You can believe that you're against abortion, and that's fine. You can be against abortion, but you can't make another woman do what she wants to do with her body.
I don't think she's trying to make them.
Why does the Democrat Party have to pay for it? Why do us as pro-lifers, people that believe in life and want your children to live, your future children to live, why do our tax dollars have to pay for those children to be slaughtered? I do not support the Democrat Party. If you can't give Black women another option besides abortion, and if every time we come up as a Black people, as a community on the floor, the only thing we're being offered is free access to abortion, then that tells me you don't really care about Black life. But I would love to talk about unemployment and what I would like to do for the District of Georgia.
We definitely gonna get there, Angela. I want to ask you one question though. As you raised your son as a liberal, so as your views
I
changed,
didn't.
You didn't? How'd you raise your son?
I didn't necessarily push any politics. I didn't necessarily.
Oh, no. I don't mean on him.
So you let him be what he wanted to be.
Yeah, I don't mean on him.
He's a gay male. I would never ever encourage him to be a female. You can be gay and still be a man.
Yeah, no, what I meant was your views was that of a liberal. So as your views switched to conservative, did that change?
No, actually,
parented?
to be completely honest, my views were always that of conservative, which most Black people are. You understand? But I was always voting Democrat because we just had this monolithic thought process, and we just went ahead with it because that's what everyone else was doing. But when it came to traditional family values, when it came to being entrepreneurs, hand up, not hand out, starting your own business, when it came to things like faith, the freedom of religious rights, those things, I had always had that mindset, but was still voting Democrat, voting against my own interests.
Well, let's talk about unemployment, because your president, Donald Trump, is the reason that 40 million people are unemployed right now because of his response to coronavirus.
Well, I would disagree. I would disagree. I would disagree. But let's talk about this.
Are you disagreeing about his response to the coronavirus? What do you disagree about?
Well, let's talk about his response. What about his response did you guys have an issue with?
I mean, the fact that he denied it in February and said that, it was only one case.
Well, in January, he tried to close the borders against China, and they called him a racist and a xenophobe and a bigot and everything else. And then he actually did close the borders to China. Not only that, he mentioned COVID at his State of the Union speech on February 4th, the one that Nancy Pelosi ripped up. And then she went to Chinatown saying that COVID wasn't a big issue. So I think that because this is something that has happened, this is his first time in presidency, I'm not here to defend him. I know a lot of times he say things that are wild. I'm more focused on his policies, but I do think that he handled it as best as he could and his administration, especially if we look at what's happening now. I have to question the validity of COVID when we have all of these Democrat leaders that were telling us it wasn't safe for us to go to church, it wasn't safe for us to open our businesses, but yet we see them all lined up at a funeral with 3,000 people after several people have lost their loved ones and wasn't even able to bury them. So I have to question the validity of it at this point.
And you don't think Donald Trump is a racist?
Why would I think Donald Trump is a racist when I know his history? Before Donald Trump ran for president, no one thought he was a racist.
They sure
you had
That's not true.
I don't know that that's true.
So let's talk about that. Let's get factual. And again, I want to talk about what I want to do for the District of Georgia. I don't want to spend too much time trying to defend Donald Trump, but that was an issue about him not renting to people that had Section 8. Now, I got a brother who has property and is not going to rent to people on Section 8. I know people in my own community. I know people that wouldn't rent to me when I was on Section 8. So then they talk about the Central Park 5. Why did Donald Trump go out of his way to run these ads? And guess what my response is to that? Guess what my response is to that? Guess what my response is to that? Y'all more mad at Donald Trump than y'all mad at Antron's own daddy for making him confess. First of all, I got an issue with the daddy. Y'all mad at Trump. I want to know why his father made him confess and knew that it was a lie. Second of all, those 5 men, God bless them, and I fight for criminal justice reform. I'm glad they are free. I'm also glad that they have been compensated. But I also know that Donald Trump has freed nearly 7,000 people, 91% of them Black. I also know that Joe Biden has not apologized for his 94 crime bill and will not apologize for it, which has thousands of Black men in prison right now that I am fighting for to be free. So how are you more upset about Trump, about 5, than you are about Joe Biden, which left the majority of Black America incarcerated?
I would like it to stay on track, though. If we're talking about Trump, instead of comparing and talking about other people, we're talking about just Trump here. If we're going to talk about that, instead of saying, well, why didn't this person do that, or why didn't this person do that?
We need to discuss the hypocrisy.
That's like a Black Lives Matter. Then you say, well, what about Black on Black crime?
I mean, if it's a Black Lives Matter, be worried about what really impacts Black people, which is mass incarceration, not those 5 men. Because those 5 men are home. Let's talk about our brothers and sisters that's incarcerated right now that we need to get out.
We can get into that, but that
I would definitely
Donald
push
Trump is a racist. The fact that he wouldn't let Black people rent into the building, the fact that he
I don't believe that he's a racist.
For these innocent Black people that never apologized for it.
When Jennifer Hudson's family was murdered,
we let you speak. You gotta let us speak too. You can't speak over us when we're speaking, man.
But y'all lying.
We are all talking about it.
You are lying.
You can't speak
you are lying.
Well,
because you want to sit up here and say.
Well, Angela, in 1973, an employee, when he got sued, an employee did quote in court documents that they were told to rent only to Jews and executives. When there was a lawsuit against Trump,
nothing about Section 8.
Do with Section 8.
Focused on 39
Is this around the same time? So is this around the same time that he helped Jesse Jackson start the Rainbow Push Coalition? Is this the same time he gave him a floor on the 10th floor in the Empire State Building and gave him $1 million to help this organization that still helps us? So are we talking about an issue with one employee? Maybe he got upset. Maybe he said something. We're going to stay focused on the past. Can we talk about what Donald Trump is doing right now for Black people? Because y'all talking about.
Listen, there's been there's been a long history of racist acts. It's not just one thing.
That Obama, okay. So you want to sit up?
Obama's not running for president.
Racist, but he did run for president. Trump is the president right now and has done more for Black people.
So you're saying Obama's a racist?
8 years. I'm saying Trump did more for Trump did more for Black America than Obama did in 8 years that he was in office.
What has he done for those? Let's talk about it. What has he done?
I've already said it. I've already given you the rundown. I've already talked about criminal justice reform. I already talked about permanently funding HBCUs, which their funding was snatched away during the Obama era. I also talked about faith-based, a ban on faith-based HBCUs that was lifted. He also designated in particular office in the White House just to deal with HBCUs. HBCUs were coming back every single year for funding. He made it where they were funded permanently and did not have to do that. He has created opportunity zones. He had the lowest Black unemployment. But again, it's not about Trump.
You know, opportunity zones are not only for Black people. You know that, right? You know, opportunity zones are not only for Black people.
You bring them to distressed areas. We need them right now,
afford to stay in that building and not sell at. Which people, that means it for people that have money. The majority of the people that have money are white people.
So whose issue is that?
So if you want to talk opportunity zone in real estate, we can have this conversation all day.
Hold on.
Opportunity zone is not made for Black people.
Don't tell me we don't have enough Black people that have money that can take advantage of these huge tax breaks. I said the majority of real estate
investors are white, and they can hold down not playing stuff for years.
It's an
opportunity zones are not for only Black people.
Black communities. If Black people do not step up,
hold on. Let me hear what Angela's saying.
Hold on. This is what I'm saying. Opportunity zones are for Black communities to rebuild our communities, which is exactly what we need now, especially with all of the things that have been burned down in our communities. We have enough Black people in power with money to take advantage of these tax breaks. But what we have is a lot of leaders and people with money that truly do not care. Okay, so funds can be created. We can put together pools. This is an opportunity for us to come together and rebuild our neighborhoods and rebuild our community. So we can't always just sit back and say we're gonna point the finger at somebody else.
Right.
When we gonna have accountability?
But opportunity
Because
zones are only for Black people. Opportunity zones are for everybody.
It don't.
It's not just the thing that says only African Americans can buy these properties. Opportunity zones is for everybody, white, Black, Jewish, for low income areas.
You're missing it.
But they're for investments for our community. That's the point.
They're for investments for our community, but it's not just for Black people.
Our communities.
Yeah.
And if they come to our communities, they bring jobs. Just like the Wendy's we saw burn down up the street in Atlanta. You got 15 people that lost their jobs. These are Black people. It brings opportunity to people in our communities.
You know
so
what
don't say that it does not help us.
Can I switch?
You know what they're doing? Hold on one second. You know what they're doing with opportunity zones? Kind of like what they did in Jersey City, kind of like what they did in Newark, kind of like what they did in Harlem, kind of what they did in Brooklyn. They come in and take those properties and they wait for the time period. And then when the time period happens, what do they usually do? They raise the rent. They push us out, and then we don't own these areas. I don't know if you've been to Harlem or if you've been to Jersey City, Hoboken, or Brooklyn in certain areas. The majority of people that you're gonna talk over me. I'll let you speak. Can you let me speak?
Go ahead.
I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Go ahead.
I'll let you speak. I'm just saying. Let me finish speaking. So in those areas, what happened? They usually push us out, raise the rent high, and push us away from those areas. A lot of areas in Brooklyn and Harlem and Jersey City and Hoboken and Detroit, in Chicago downtown, we don't live in those areas. We were from those areas, but we were pushed out. Raised the rent, opportunity zones, people came, they gave them rebates, they gave them all these refunds. After that was over, pushed us out, and we can't afford to go back to those areas. So that's what those zones were. It's not just for African Americans.
Now, can I speak?
You said you had a question.
Again, at the end of the day, we need to have some accountability. You keep saying they. Black people have the same access to do the same exact things. At some point, we're going to have to stop pointing fingers. Yes, we do. Enough of us got money. We can go in here and take advantage of these tax breaks. If y'all got homeboys, y'all interview all types of celebrities. If we really want to rebuild Black Street, if we really want to restore Black America, then we still have the opportunity right now. Pull our people together. Let's go take advantage of these tax breaks. Let's create our own opportunities and employ our own people. That's the answer, because we can't keep sitting back waiting on somebody else to make something happen to us. Because when they open up these loans and they open up these access, we have the same exact access, but we do not take advantage of it. So the majority of us, go ahead, Angela.
No, I was going to say, since we're talking about access, do you think it's an issue with the Paycheck Protection Program that they're not saying what companies got the money and that there's not full disclosure on what was happening with those funds?
Does it need to be full disclosure to the full public, or does it need to be full disclosure just to HUD or SBA? Who needs access to it?
I mean, I think there has to be some accountability. I think we should know where is that money going, because there's a lot of businesses that were small businesses that weren't able to access those funds because they were depleted so quickly.
I can tell you, I know for a fact several small Black businesses in the Atlanta area that did get access to those funds. I mean, we even saw a huge article about Carly Red's boyfriend getting $2 million and going and buying a Rolex and paying child support. I think what it is that we need to make sure that we are educating our communities on how to take advantage of these opportunities. So if they gave out the PPE loans and said, hey guys, fill it out, how many of us actually went through the process of filling out the paperwork? Or if we didn't know how to properly fill out the paperwork, made sure that we engaged our communities for them to get access. So we can't say, oh, they just gave this money to all of these rich or corporations. That's not true.
I didn't say that. I was just asking for if you think there should be disclosure.
60% of all small Black, there should definitely be disclosure, but 60% of all small Black-owned businesses didn't even apply for the PPP, and that's why Robert Smith started crises.com. Yeah,
you know, access, a lot of us can't get access. A lot of us can't get loans. You know, it's difficult for a lot of African Americans to get loans.
But that's why Robert Smith did quickbase.com and Diddy did ourfairshare.com to ensure that. But 60% of the people didn't even go for it. But let me ask you a question, Angela. What would be your plan to sustain
our communities?
Okay.
We do. I agree with you that our community.
If we educate them on, because remember in school, I don't know about you guys, but I was raised in the hood in school. They didn't teach us about credit. You know what I'm saying? They didn't teach us about finances. Many of us they didn't teach us about entrepreneurship. And that's something that I like to see our children taught in school. I mean, it's like we just jump out there and then we don't take advantage of the stuff because we don't have the education. It's not because we can't get it. We're not educated on how to get it. We're not educated on how to establish credit. We're not educated on how to get loans.
Okay, Angela, can I ask you another question? Oh, go ahead.
What would be your plan, Angela, to sustain people who are still not working because of your president when the unemployment payments run out in July?
Unemployment definitely runs out in July. African American unemployment right now, I want to say, is at 16.8%. Nationwide unemployment is at 13%. I want to focus mainly on disaster recovery management, especially after what we saw with COVID, creating job creation, job growth. I think that would be an immediate fix and impact. And not only that, but teaching a lot of people in our inner city and disadvantaged communities about entrepreneurship. You know, people need to know where their next check is coming from. And like I told you before, if we can reduce poverty, we can reduce crime. I know that's why I committed a crime 15 years ago. I was a single mother. I wanted to take a chance on giving my children a better life. And I made a decision and thought I could get away with it. Just as we see with a lot of people returning home and coming home from prison, these people that have been serving 20, 30 years, if they come home and they don't have access to gainful employment, they're going to go back to doing what they usually do. If we want to see crime rise, we need to not create jobs, not create entrepreneurship. I think for our communities, we all have a God-given gift. Mine was writing. I learned how to take that and make it into a profitable business. We have people that know how to cook. We have people that know how to paint. We have people that know how to work with their hands. We can create our own businesses and begin to build our own wealth. And for me, that's one of the main focal points of my campaign.
You know,
all right, one question I wanted to...
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, one question I wanted to ask you is, why do you think so many white supremacist groups support Donald Trump?
I think it's because they were white supremacists when Obama was in office. And I think that because Obama was a black man, they happy to see any white man in office. It could have been Hillary Clinton. They would have supported her. Anybody besides a black face. I don't believe that the president has control over who supports him. I don't. And I think.
Do you think he should denounce them? Do you think he should denounce them?
He has. You want me to pull up the video and show it to you? All you gotta do is go on. All you gotta do is type in.
You can't call them fine people.
Google President Trump denounced KKK and white supremacy. There's a whole video of him doing that, and he also designated them a terrorist group. Google that also.
But you can't say fine people on both sides in some place like Charlotte.
So can I get, because we back on Trump again versus my campaign, but let me just say this. I was just on the ground in Minneapolis, right? And when I was on the ground in Minneapolis, I had people with me and we were doing a very peaceful protest. And then there were people that were not doing a peaceful protest, busting people on the head, breaking stuff and all of that. So in my honest opinion, when the president said there are very fine people on both sides, he was talking about the people that were peacefully protesting. If you go watch the entire clip and not just the snippet that they put out to try to make it seem as if he was saying something racist, you would have a better understanding. What I want us to do is not look at me as a black woman and think that I'm a sellout or I'm not for black people, because at the end of the day, you would, back in the day, they would have called Harriet Tubman a coon for going to work with white people to free the slaves. I'm not going to apologize for the favor that God has given me with this administration.
Angela, Harriet wasn't going to work. It's not like she woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to go clock in for this slavery today.
Administration. I advocate on behalf of Black America with the administration. I'm not employed by the administration. Every time I go to the White House, I'm going there with an issue for Black America.
Do you feel like you have to be loyal to Trump because he pardoned you?
I don't feel like I have to be loyal to Trump, but I'll tell you something, I am a loyal person. I do understand loyalty. If Trump has done something that I feel would hurt Black people or would hurt disadvantaged communities, I would be the first one to say something. I would not align myself with someone or something that I believe was intentionally bringing harm to my communities. If we focus on the policy and not the person, because here's my thing, I didn't like my grandmother. My grandmother was mean. Every time I asked for something, I got cussed out. She never said anything with love, but she never did anything to harm me. She always had my best interest. She was not a very nice person. We may not like what Trump do or what Trump says. We may not like what Joe Biden says, but we need to pay attention to what these people are doing. Damn what they are saying. What are you doing? What type of impact is it having on us as a community? Is it benefiting us? Black America, this is what we need. We need to restore our communities, okay? We need to get Black men out of prison, get them back in their homes, have them raising our children. We need to rebuild Black Wall Street. It is time for us now to act and to come together and make these things happen for us instead of depending on a government system to do it. The reason why
Angela. No, I have to push back on you because Trump's policies have hurt Black people. I mean, you talk about the economy, you talk about the tax laws that are disproportionately.
No. Be specific.
When you talk about
now.
Well, they were disproportionately left out of Trump's tax cuts. African-American households receive only 5% of the benefits from Trump's tax law, despite making up 13% of U.S. households. When you talk about education, Trump rolled back Obama-era efforts geared toward protecting Black students from discrimination and school punishment.
Hold on.
Come on now.
Did you not see Trump pass school choice? Did you not see the Black girl at the State of the Union that he gave and that he gave a scholarship to? So school choice is what we need because our children are stuck in public schools while their children get to go to private schools and charter schools and have access to more opportunity. So what we have to do is be factual in what we're saying because what's happening is there are a lot of media bias out here. And what we see is we see one thing that one person says and we just go by it and we're not doing our own factual research.
Okay, well, what about criminal justice? Trump took us backwards on criminal justice by rescinding and weakening Obama-era protections on policing.
You know I'm not going to let you go. You know I'm not going to let you say that. So criminal justice reform. Let's talk about the historic criminal justice reform bill that's going to bring nearly 100,000 people home from prison. So what? Hold on one second. My earpiece fell out. I'm sorry. So what this bill does, so there's a huge difference between the Fair Sentencing Act and the First Step Act. So what the Fair Sentencing Act, what Obama passed, this did not apply to those that had life off of 3 strikes, you're out. So 3 strikes, you're out. This is how the majority of Black people ended up in prison. You would commit a crime one time. Let's say I'd be on the street. You'll catch me with a $50 bomb, lock me up, I bond out. You catch me on the street again, I got a $20 bomb, and you lock me up, I bond out. That 3rd time, you can give me life in prison. Like 3 strikes you out is what had the majority of people in prison serving life for marijuana. When President Trump passed the First Step Act, those are the people that benefited from that law. And those are the people, since you brought them up, that Obama left behind. That's how Black America ended up being massively incarcerated. Because you can't say, and you know, the First Step Act was bipartisan. We had plenty of Black people that was pushing for this bill to get it passed. So we can't just say Trump rolled us back because you had everybody fighting.
But that's because Black people were tired of getting nothing in regards to criminal justice reform, so they took a little something. But we can't sit here and act like, Trump's administration.
That's a lot something.
We can't. But listen, even with the First Step Back, we can't act like Trump's administration is not working behind the scenes to undermine those laws and put inmates back behind bars because he encourages harsher sentences for drug offenses, including nonviolent ones. Yeah, the Department of Justice gave federal prosecutors wider latitude to pursue criminal drug charges and harsher sentences.
Do you know that there's a difference? Do you know that there's a difference between the Department of Justice and the White House administration? Do you know that there's two separate entities? Hold on, wait a minute. You've also seen the DOJ buck against Trump. Don't say that it's Trump's DOJ.
Jeff Sessions and William Barr ride Trump's dick.
Wait a minute, that's not necessarily true because we've seen DOJ come against people being released for home confinement, being moved closer to their family, going against everything that was passed in the First Step Act. There are lawsuits right now pending against DOJ for them not honoring what Trump signed in the First Step Act. So let's again be beneficial with that. And it's unfair for you guys to say, that Trump passed something in regards to criminal justice reform that rolls people back because we have thousands of people home now with their families and thousands of people that are on the way. So I think it's selfish of us to not take into consideration our people that's locked in the cage and want to be free and want to come home. There's no guarantee that Joe Biden is going to do anything to fix the law that he passed because he was in office 8 years and did nothing about it.
That is very true.
Stanton King.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't, let our people come home.
It ain't fixed now. Come on now. We still under a white supremacist system.
Closer. No, I'm not gonna agree with white. I don't know any races that would defund Planned Parenthood. I don't know any races that wants black babies to be born. It seems to me if this man was a racist, he would give Planned Parenthood all the money that they need, knowing that their abortion clinics are in black areas. See, we get abortion clinics in our areas. They get fertility clinics in their areas. I don't know any races that would give so many black Americans a second chance, including myself. Look at the platform that this administration has given me. My own people, I've been doing community service and fighting for us for 15 years. My own people wouldn't even give me this platform. So for this man to give me, somebody who at the time was uneducated, I'm graduating with my bachelor's now, single mother, I met all the statistics, a chance to pass a law, a chance to have a name, clear my name, a chance to run for office. I can't say that the man is a racist because he didn't have to do it. Because at the end of the day, we know he didn't win with the black vote.
I understand your loyalty to him, but I just want you to know that just because somebody does something good for you doesn't mean they're good for you. I just want to say that.
But he didn't do nothing bad. I can't sit up here and say the man has done anything bad. I can't say he's done anything bad. I can't say I've seen anything bad come out of the administration.
Well, you ain't got no eyeballs, Angela. Put your glasses on. You wear glasses. But you telling
me that, contacts, and I'm right there.
LASIK.
But I'm right there in the mix, though, bro.
Well,
maybe you too close. Maybe you too. No. I got to ask 2 more questions because she's running for Congress in Atlanta. How can they follow you if they want to?
So you guys, Stanton King for Congress is the website. Definitely, please visit. Look at the policies. Look at what it is that I'm fighting for. And on Instagram, I'm the Angela Stanton. Twitter, the Angie Stanton. You guys, thank you so much for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it.
And you have a blessed day, sister.
And you wear a mask at that Klan rally this weekend now in Tulsa.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You know I ain't going to no Klan rally, man. Listen. I'm
talking about that. I'm talking about that Trump event.
Listen, man, we support the president and his policies. I ain't gonna tell y'all again, President Trump been doing stuff for black people. He got a long history of giving to the black community. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna apologize for going to this man with issues to advance the black community and him being willing to listen and act. I'm just not gonna apologize for it. The people in prison didn't want to wait 4 years for y'all to get another president. And they definitely not gonna want to wait 4 more. Because Joe Biden's gonna lose.
Angela, have a great one. Thank you so much.